is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army, they got the tank.
Ready. Round one.
Hey, Johnny.
Johnny Cass. Johnny Cass.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Huge Pop from Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. And tonight, if you couldn't tell by the intro, our guest tonight is the Midwest Gaming Champion. I call him the Battle Royal Superstar, the one, the only, Johnny Cass. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right tonight.
All right tonight. Look a little nervous, bro. I don't know.
Nervous really isn't in my category. I'm like more excited than anything. This huge opportunity that's coming up tomorrow morning is that I've been forward to like ever since they reached out to me and asked me to be a guest.
So
I can't wait for the opportunity to talk about my career in professional wrestling.
Yeah. Big news. We'll get to that a little bit later, all right? So, dude.
Well, looks like my shop.
Your shop's on? There you go.
Yep.
So, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast is very familiar with Johnny Cass. I can tell you, Johnny, you mean the world to me. I believe about a year ago almost, you were probably one of my first indie talents I reached out to, and you said, yes, why not? Let's do it. And I remember that interview. It was a great time. You had a lot of stuff you shared with us. If they didn't watch it, that's their fault. They can go back to YouTube and watch it. Because we're going to talk about some things different, some things that have been happening in your career. And you've changed the kind of a focus I see it on Facebook more than I've seen when I first met you. So we'll get into that as well. But what's been going on, man, since the first of 2023?
Well, I got the offer after I had my first match with PWX I know that's a promotion that we don't really talk about, but it's a part of Johnny Cass's history. So of course I'm going to
Absolutely.
bring it up.
Absolutely.
Um, when I had my first match down there on the 31st of December, which is near, um, they were impressed with my match and how good that it was for everyone that was in attendance. We had a great turnout that night. That they allowed me to come back to start doing more matches, and then it started just happening every week. Of course, I'm going to take every opportunity that I get, and I'm not going to take it for granted because I'm very grateful when someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey, we saw your content, we saw your matches, we want you to come down to our promotion and wrestle for us." And to me, that's an opportunity. So if you ask anybody that I've ever been on a show with or for, they will tell you the exact same thing, is that every time when I get done talking to them and setting something up for the future, I will always thank them for the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. So at PWX, I know, I mean, I don't mind talking about PWX. So PWX is part of your career, right?
Yes, it was.
That's, I'll let you. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I have something to ask you about that. That's part of the interview. But continue what you want to say. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So I was with PWX for about 4 or 5 months, and then when stuff was starting to happen, I'm not going to get into it or anything like that. It just started shit was happening, and I kind of wanted to stay away from it for a little bit until everything like dust was settling, and didn't seem like it was going to. That's part of the reason why I quit going down there on Thursdays, as well as getting an opportunity at my job working second shift. So I took that as well, and then I want to say around the beginning of June, I was having a bit of a financial bind, so I had to take a break from traveling. So I figured if I'm going to do that, I might as well start working on my workout routines and getting more into that, as well as making myself look physically more capable and more able to do more in the ring. So this way, when someone looks at me, they're like, "Hey, we want this guy. He's in great shape and he works out. He actually cares about the way he looks." You know what I'm saying? And since I've been doing that, it's just been stuck with me. Like, I have to do it every time when I get up. When I wake up in the morning, it's between 7:30, 8 o'clock. I do work a full-time job. As I said, second shift, 3:30 to midnight. I usually get around 12:30 at night. I go to sleep. I get up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. I DoorDash as soon as I wake up, probably for about 2 hours. And then I get done with that. I go to the gym, work out for about another hour and a half to 2 hours. And then from there, I go to the Y to finish my workouts, because I like to go in the sauna and the hot tub to relax myself. And then I go back out to door dashing to make a little bit more money, because that's pretty much my food and that's where my gas comes from. So I've been really, really, really grinding at this. And that's why I'm saying, like, if anybody out there that's watching this, they're thinking about becoming a pro wrestler, it takes a lot of hard work to do. And you have to be super dedicated. Like, I'm not saying that you have to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, back to the PNWX, there was one gentleman on that in that organization that turns out to be one of your best friends in the business. And I bring this guy up because this guy, Joey Knotts, put you through hell during that portion of PWX. Chair shots, backstabbing, and all this stuff. But set that aside. What's your thoughts on the retirement of one of your good friends in the business, Joey Knotts? What's your thoughts on that?
At first, we didn't get along. I'm assuming he just saw me as an easy target at PWX, so he snuck his way down there, and just started trying to pick fights with me, which is fine. It's to be expected in this business. If you want a match, just ask me or ask the promoter, and I'll be happy to have a match with you. Because I love testing myself. I love seeing how far, somebody can take me until I can't take anymore. But as far as his retirement goes, we actually became we became good friends after our feud in April ended, and it kind of sucks to see him retire. But I understand from his point of view because he looks completely different, and he had that factor. I could see that in him, and so could a few others, but it just seemed like everybody didn't really see him that way. I mean, if that makes sense. Like they looked at him and thought, oh, he's a devil worshiper, he's satanic. But I mean, like they always say, never judge a book by its cover. Right. I mean, this guy, when I was out of the wrestling scene in Iowa because of some personal issues of that happened with Impact Pro here, with some of their guys, I didn't really have anywhere else to go. But when I met Joey at BCW's training seminar with Bully Ray, he took me and he took me like kind of under his wing, and he was like, hey, I got a couple of promotions, that you can go to with me if you want, to see if you could also work on the same show. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I have him to thank for that, as well as his girlfriend, Beth, who actually came up with my logo design for Johnny Cass and made me a bunch of pins as well. So shout out to her.
That's awesome, man. You meet throughout the whole, even if this podcast, I met some cool people.
What's up, Zach?
I met Joey Knotts. Johnny Cass. He's part of the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast team on Sundays. So it's great to meet new people like you, and we have each other's backs. We're here to support you, and that's why we're doing this interview tonight, because it's about Johnny Cass, right? Big things are happening for Johnny Cass here. I mean, I'm happy as the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast to say, hey, I'm one of the first guys that interviewed you, so I'll take that and I'll put that up as a mark.
Heck yeah.
Whether that's marking out or what, I don't care. You people all can call me marks. Who cares? I don't give a shit. So, there was talk back in April, May, man. You were like trying to find your spot, trying to find your groove, and I'm good. This is the last time I talk about this, but you joined the Syndicate.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that was a turning point for Johnny Cass. Can you explain to the fans if I'm true, if I'm accurate? But can you explain to the fans if indeed what really happened?
I wouldn't really say, well, I guess it kind of is if you think about it, but for me it's completely different, and I'll explain why. I was forced to join the Syndicate in order to get that final match that ended mine and Joey Knott's feud. So the one most important thing that the Syndicate taught me was that pain is the best teacher. And he couldn't be more true about that, because he made me realize and he made me think about everything that he told me. When that first night I had to join the Syndicate, like he sat me down in a room, just me and him, and explained to me everything that he went through, that this is how you do things around here. Because sometimes you have to cheat. You have to cheat to win. You have to do whatever it takes to get that victory. And he's right. And he made me realize that is the case sometimes, especially like if it's a life or death situation in real life. Someone has a gun to your head, you got to do whatever it takes. Just like if I have an opportunity, if I had say for example, if I had a match, like a wrestling match, kind of like a gut check, like from TNA back in the day, to where whoever wins that match gets a contract a 6-month, 3 to 6 month contract with TNA.
Right.
And I knew I was going to lose. I would take, I'm not going to lie, I would probably take measures into my own hands and do whatever it took to win that match. And that's because of the Syndicate, because they made me realize that pain is the best teacher. And sometimes you have to work through pain. Even it's not just physical, it could be mental as well. That teaches you that sometimes it's okay. And I have Sin to thank for that too.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So we got Zachary here going, love you, bro. Keep up your amazing work. My son, your biggest fan, Johnny Cass, he said you're gonna get a belt soon. So we're gonna talk about that, going forward here in this interview. So Battle Royals, that seems to be your thing, man. You tell the fans about your experiences in Battle Royals and some plans.
Oh, definitely. Like I even defended my Midwest Gaming Championship belt in a Battle Royal at the Midwest Gaming Championship this year in Milwaukee. So at first I was thinking maybe these guys are trying to put me in all these Battle Royals or whatever, but I realized, this is my chance to try and show everybody that no matter what they throw in front of me or what obstacles they throw in front of me, I will jump over them and I will succeed at them as well. And I feel like I've been proving that so far, such as the last Battle Royal that I was in with MCW at the Skydive Chicago. I was not the second person left in the ring because me and the other guy was hanging on to the ropes before we got drop kicked off of it. But I was down to me and 2 other men. And I feel like that's kind of like showing the hard work and dedication that I've been putting into this, that I am capable of. I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to winning them. I've already won 2 Rumbles, and I've been in about 5 of them so far this year.
Yeah. And so last week, I believe, Johnny was on the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast as a host, right? A co-host. Yep. And we had the opportunity to talk to Gary Jackson of SICW. And he started talking about the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal and all this stuff. And I think the words that he said was, we're looking for young cats like you, Johnny Cass, to fill the spots of old talent like himself. How'd that feel coming from a veteran? And hey, are you going to jump at the fact of send some stuff to SICW, or are you going to hold off for a minute?
I think for right now, I'll wait until the time gets closer for that Battle Royal, because I feel like that's a major opportunity, and it's another major opportunity for me as well for SICW. I'm still in the process of getting my wrestling license for Missouri as well. I know it's held in Illinois, but I would very much love to come down to, I believe, is it the St. Louis area or something like that? For SICW, because it would just be another state for me to see, because I don't think I've ever been there before, honestly. I'm very much looking forward to sending them my stuff probably at the first quarter of 2024.
Awesome, man. So we have Ricky D. Prescott. Would love to see you versus Rey Mysterio or Seth Rollins. That would be a great matchup someday.
Oh yeah, I'd have fun with that, especially Seth Rollins.
He's the visionary.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. So Midwest Gaming Championship, man. I love the video package you sent me. And of course, people that they watched the beginning, they've seen it. That's pretty cool. So that's some cool stuff there. Man, this Midwest Gaming Champion has got to be like very, very important to you. It's probably one of those things that you love to hang on to. You got that title. How important is that to you?
Oh, it's very, very important to me. It's without this belt, Johnny Cass is not Johnny Cass. Johnny Cass was born at the Midwest Gaming Classic in 2019, the night that I won that belt. And it's everything to him because it's a marker of what I went through my whole life, and it's like that's proof I can do anything. It's pretty much wrestling and video games combined into this one belt. That's what it means to me. And those are like the two most important things in my life because they saved my life 10 times over. Back when I was a kid, a teenager, even an adult, as an adult. And that's what it truly means to me.
Awesome. So back in the April, May-ish, when you ran into some financial issues, some relationship stuff and blah, 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 is wrestling what brought you out of that hole that appeared that you were in?
Yes, that and video games as well. I usually, when I have the free time, I haven't had the time lately these past few months because I've been working out nonstop, especially when I don't have my kids on the weekends. But I usually go online and I play games with my friends and family. I do miss doing that, but at the same time, I want to work on myself. I want to work on Johnny Cass. I feel like you're never done figuring out who your character is. And this is what I'm going to talk about on Busted Open tomorrow, comparing wrestling to video games. And if you really think about it deep down, wrestling is LARP. And for those who don't know what LARP is, it's live action role play. And it's pretty much when you're playing a role playing game, you have to make up a character. And then you have to get a move set. You have to figure out what your character is going to look like. And then you have to pretty much level up your character throughout the game. And that's what you're doing in real life, going to these different promotions. Right. And while you're doing that, you're still figuring out who you are, what you represent. Do you have the choice to be good at this point? Then you have the choice to be bad at that point. And everything always changes up, so it never stays the same. And that's the comparison, because I've had to explain this to a few people too that left some nasty comments on the Midwest Gaming Classics page as well. Well, they were like, "Oh, I don't understand what wrestling has to do with video games." It has everything to do with it. It's pretty much a live action video game.
Yeah. So in video games, I've noticed, we'll talk about this. I don't know his name, but you have a friend that kind of was strange how you guys met. But he is a friend that is the character in Street Fighter. Am I right?
Yep.
You talked to the fans about that interaction. This just happened a couple months ago, and it was a huge thing for you at that point as well.
Oh, it was, and it still is. So I found out his name is Jeff Liebengood, and he before Jean-Claude Van Damme was Guile. So he I don't really want to tell his story too much because that would be, I'd want him to do that. But I met him at Hirschbach when he came in as a driver / orientation. He's a new driver, and he was gearing up to be going out with the team driver. And I went in to ask my brother something about this thing on a truck. And I overheard him talking to, I think, our parts guy, or it could have been my brother, about, about being in Japan for about 35, 40 years or something like that, 4 decades. And then it piqued my interest because it was like, oh, man, I wonder what part. So then I told him, I was like, hey, I heard you were in Japan for about 40 years or whatever, around the 90s. I have a couple of friends that I also made in the gaming industry who were in the original Resident Evil 1996 game. And I brought up their names and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, they did some work for Capcom back in the day. And he was like, oh, he kind of smirked a little bit. And he was like, I did some work for Capcom as well. I played Guile for Street Fighter 2, the Turbo game. Excuse me. And I was like, no way. And then like he pulls out his phone and he's showing my brother like the commercials and shit that he did. And then he's like showing me, and I was like, oh my God, freaking out because I love Street Fighter. Street Fighter is one of my games back in the day. And I told him, I was like, what are you doing working here? You should be going to conventions and hosting, or not hosting, but doing Q&As or panels or stuff like that, talking about your time in Japan, working on Street Fighter 2 Turbo and all that stuff. And like, he was just amazed when I was telling him about this because he had no idea.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could do that could really open your mind, that you'd be like, wow, you never thought this would have been possible. So me and him are kind of teaming up. We've teamed up for a while, and I'm trying to help him get his name back out there in the gaming community. Tomorrow, actually, after my interview with Busted Open, we're going to be going live with him on CGM page on Facebook that I've been posting about for the last week. And this is going to be his first interview, which is going to be awesome, in my opinion. I can't wait for that, to hear more about his time in Japan and working on Street Fighter 2.
Awesome. I know that gaming is not a Huge Pop Wrestling podcast isn't about gaming, but that would be cool to get you and him back on the show together on the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast for him to share the story. That'd be epic, because he was kind of important role in your career here in the last couple months. So that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So being part of the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast team, Johnny, tell us your thoughts about being on the team and being one of the first guests on our Huge Pop Wrestling podcast. What does that do? I mean, I'm sitting right here. You don't have to sugarcoat anything. Tell me if I'm a big jerk or whatever, but how's that going for you?
Oh no, man. I love being on here. It's awesome. It's always a good time, and it's always a good experience. Like when I hop on here on Saturday or Sunday or whenever you have it, and then like you bring somebody on that I've never met before, that's been in the industry. Like, what was his name? Something Dudley.
Chubby Dudley.
Chubby Dudley. Yeah, there we go. And then we the Night Train, I think his name was. Yeah, he was on here. You got to talk with him a little bit, and it's always a good time, and everyone's always friendly. And it's like I said, man, we're all just a big family that are fans of wrestling. I'm still a fan. I'm always going to be a fan of wrestling. That's right. I'm just grateful that I'm actually a part of the business now, and I'm actually wrestling for anyone around here, around my area. It's always great, and it's always an experience.
Yeah, man. Talk to the fans about how you feel, how you appreciate them.
The fans mean everything to me, especially when I'm out there performing. Whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy, I want to get that reaction. And when I do, there's no better feeling like it. Like, it's so gratifying, especially after like I get done with my match. The most fun I've had, I'll be honest with you, was when I was with the Syndicate and I did turn heel, and then I was in a fatal 4-way tag team match. There was what was his name? Something Phoenix, Brian Phoenix.
Okay.
Threw me. He gave me a German suplex, tagged his partner in, and I tagged my partner, or not my partner. I tagged one of the Syndicate members in, and I rolled out. And then there was this person in the crowd heckling me a little bit. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to go back up on by my partner, or stand up by my partner by the turnbuckle, whatever, and I'm going to fuck with this guy a little bit. So I walk over to him as I'm holding the back of my neck, and then like I saw an empty seat kind of right by him, so I went over the guardrail thing and sat next to him, and he was all like, "What are you doing sitting here? You're supposed to be up there getting your ass kicked." And I looked at him and I'm like, "I'm thirsty. Leave me alone. I'm just taking a little break." And he was like, "Yeah, Johnny Cass, huh? It sounds like Johnny Kiss Ass." And he's getting in my face, and it's like I couldn't help but laugh. Like, it was so funny. It was such a good time. Everybody was laughing around me, and it was just making everybody pop. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. Every time we're on here, man, we get a whole lot of people. We got 7 to 10 people popping in and out of the chat. So, chat, if you have any questions for Johnny Cash, feel free to let them put them on there. So here's Chris, the Wildcat Mercer. First of all, I hope we got to send good wishes to Chris Wildcat Mercer. He the last MCW event, he took a shot from AMB, and he, I think he broke his ankle, or he did some severe damage to his ankle. So, but Chris, he says to you, Johnny Cash, kicked me in the face in that battle royal, which caused an elimination. I haven't forgotten it. So that's awesome to hear from a Chris Wildcat Mercer. So my question is, would you consider facing Chris and Wildcat Mercer in a one-on-one and kick him in the face again?
I'm always up for a challenge. I feel Chris would be one of those people who could bring out the best in me, and could push me to my limits. I've seen his work before, both on YouTube and live in person, and I'm glad Chris is doing great. I'm glad he's better. But if he wants to say that he'll remember that, that's cool. If you want a match, you know who to talk to about that as well. Excuse me. I'll be more than happy to have a match with you.
Wow. Oops. Sorry again, man. I will never.
You better watch it, or he might come down to Florida and confront you on that.
As long as I get it right when I interview him in October, okay? Wildcat, wild card, who cares? It's the same damn thing. No, wild card. Sorry, it's in your name. So hey. Johnny Cass, man, you've been with MCW. That's who you are currently. You did some things with PWX. What promotions are you pursuing the rest of 2023?
Well, there's a promotion that I reached out to that's close to my brother that lives in Wisconsin. He actually hit me up and sent me their information. And I asked them if they were looking for talent for any of their upcoming shows, and they said yes, they are. So I gave them my information, my promo pictures. I sent them my videos, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll give you a shot." So I've got an upcoming match, October 7th in Holmen, Wisconsin, at the Holmen American Legion Center. I'm going up against a guy named Crazy Scott. And I saw that he posted a video on me kind of doing whatever he does. I don't really know this guy too well, but I mean, I don't think I should be too worried about him. The only thing I'm worried about is him like screaming or scratching my face off, because it kind of seems like that's what he's about. But he does have something that I want, and that is the PPW Cruiserweight Championship belt. I must have impressed the promotion so much that they're giving me this opportunity to win a championship. So I'm going to do everything that I can do to take it from him.
So I'm going to take that last statement, what you just said, and what you said about 20 minutes ago about what the syndicate taught you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to PPW in Wisconsin.
That's right.
I believe I seen a ad for that, and your buddy Sin will be on that same card.
Correct.
So we're going for a cruiserweight title, right?
Yep.
Johnny Cash said, and I quote, "I learned from the syndicate to do whatever it takes to get what I want."
Sometimes.
Is there an underlying reason why you? Because I was told by Sin that you helped him get a spot in this with this promotion. So, are you planning? Is Johnny Cash thinking ahead for himself? Bring some people, bring some protection, bring some. I mean, I don't want to call you out on the screen, but it just seems like it's something that's. If I'm trying to read what you're saying, that's why I'd bring Sin.
You're just gonna have to wait and see. Anybody that's curious about that too, if you're wondering what's gonna happen, you're gonna have to come and watch. If not, you're gonna have to see, wait and see if there's any videos be uploaded to see what happens.
Well, I put all my eggs in a basket. I put all my trust in you because I think you told me a couple weeks ago you'd send me some videos so I can put it on the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast so people can see what happened that night. I look forward to that, man. I look really forward to that. If you had a dream match, what would it be?
With anybody?
Anybody.
Within the business, I would have to say Austin Aries. I like the fact that he's very prideful. He's the one that kind of taught me, like, when I met him back in 2019. Never really, because I used to be a collector of belts. I'll be honest with you. I used to have over 10 to 15 wrestling belts.
Okay.
And when I asked Austin to take a picture with me holding my belt, my X Division title belt, he said something that kind of resonated with me, and I'd like to think that it had a little bit to do of making my decision to get into the business, and that is, sorry, kid, I don't hold belts that I don't earn or didn't earn. But he was like, I'll hold it with you, though. And it kind of just stuck with me, and it's like he does got a point. And being as my grandfather was a boxer, an ex-boxer, and he held championships too, like, that kind of helped me make the decision, like, I want to earn something so I can say that I got this.
Yeah. Austin Aries, huh?
Yep.
Interesting fact, because Austin Aries, the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast will be live at XIW Extreme Impact Wrestling in Panama City when Austin Aries goes up against Bubba Shaddix. So on October 7th, it's a Saturday. I need you to send me the picture that you have with Austin, that you took with Austin, and I will ask him if he remembers that.
Definitely.
So it's going to be exciting. So, what's your dream opponent for the rest of the year? Okay, not dream as far as people that don't wrestle anymore, or what? Is there anybody that out there in the indie circuit that that you wanted to dream that'd be a dream opponent?
There's two of them.
Maybe I'll help you out.
So there's gonna be number 2 is gonna have to be with Mercer, the wild card.
Hey, you said Wildcat, bro.
No, I saw this pop up right here from Oscar. He said something. He said, "Didn't you say you wanted a shot at Koa?" And obviously, yes, I would love a shot with Koa. He's actually one of the guys that's on my bucket list. But for indie wise, like independent wise, that are still anyone that's on the independent scene, number 2 is going to be the wild card, Mercer. I believe, like I said, he could bring the best out in me and take me to my limit. And number 1 would be Austin Michael Bennett Austin Michael Baldridge. He's probably gonna give me a lot of guff for that when I see him next, but it happens, man. AMB, with just being the way that he moves in the ring, is just amazing. And the stuff that I am working on, I really want to see if I can work well with him. Like, he'd be a challenge to me, in my opinion.
You done pissed off the wild card. I mean, I would put you first on that list of the wild card. I really would, with AMB being close second.
Now he's just kissing ass.
Probably. I have to ask this question, Johnny. What's your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Legends wise, any era, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Flair. Gosh, I'd have to throw someone in there that's recent, and it'd have to be Austin Aries, just because I had a very positive interaction with him when I met him.
Cool. Now it's time for kid questions from my foster kids. You've heard them before. They ask the same damn questions. It don't matter. Favorite food?
Chicken and rice.
Johnny Cash, do you believe pineapple belongs on pizza?
No, I do not.
What's your favorite video game?
It's got to be Resident Evil 1.
All right. Favorite movie?
My favorite movie would have to be, gosh, there's so many of them. But if I had to choose one, I'm an old school kind of guy, so it's the movie called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Okay. You acknowledge the tribal chief?
I do.
My last question is wrestling fake?
The storylines are fake. People want to say that wrestling is fake. They can look back and see what happened in the match with A&B and Chris Mercer. Injuries do happen. They are very real. I almost injured myself, actually, when I was in the last Royal Rumble that I was in. And my knee almost gave out, and it felt like something was peeling on the inside of my kneecap.
Wow.
But I recovered really quickly, though, which I was shocked because it felt like, something was wrong. For people who hasn't taken a bump, I think has no right to say wrestling is fake.
Yeah. True. Last one I had that I couldn't remember was hobbies other than video games.
I like older vintage cars. I love going to thrift stores, finding stuff I haven't seen in years, traveling, and just working out as much as possible. Like I've been posting, like anytime when I go to a gym, I'll update my Facebook status saying, "Hey, I'm either at the Y or I'm over at my corporate office working out."
Right. And I've seen some of those videos. If you watch those videos especially of you in like must be the sauna. It's cryptic as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. So you got that heel-ish kind of vibe going on. So are you going to be heel, face, or do you not care?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Okay. I forgot one question. Zachary's kid would like to know, what's your favorite candy?
I would have to say Snickers because it has protein in it. And it gives me energy too. So
All right.
that's my all-time favorite candy is Snickers.
All right. So I think I read something on you about something special about your ring gear. Like were you gonna give it away, sell it? What there's gonna be a change? It was on Facebook.
Okay. So there's been people that have reached out to me. Not too many. There was about 2 people asking me if I've ever thought about selling my ring gear. Simply because it's modeled after Zombies Ate My Neighbors, video games, or pop culture. And my answer was always no. So I had to make a public post in case anybody else wanted to know about that. So I posted that if I ever decide to get rid of my gear, any of my gear, it's going to get donated in a shadow box to the Midwest Gaming Classic, to the guy that runs it, Dan Lucen, because he gave me the opportunity to be something at this place that's his. He invited me into his convention, and I became their champion. And it happened feels like it happened overnight. Like I didn't even expect it, and he's been so awesome towards me. So this is my way of kind of giving back to him. So
Awesome.
this is going to be him to either display, like whenever I do it, for him to display it at the event every year, or just to have as like a memorabilia type thing.
That's awesome, man. That's great. That's a great way to give back. Jose, Jace wants to know if you're going to wrestle in Dubuque.
Yes, I am. Right now, I'm trying to get someone to come to Dubuque. If not this year, next year, for sure. My brother and his partner are collaborating something huge, and they're going to be bringing a promotion that his partner owns to Dubuque, and they're going to make it Dubuque related, kind of like it's going to be like a Dubuque stable wrestling show.
Nice. So we're at the middle of 2023. Is there any big plans for Johnny Cass in 2023, end of 2023, going into the first part of 2024, and returning and probably defending your championship at the Midwest Gaming Championship? Is there anything leading up to that?
For right now, I'm gonna prove myself to PPW Phoenix Pro Wrestling in Wisconsin, so I can continue to go there to do shows for them or with them, not just for myself, but so my brother that lives by that town can come back and see me again. And then other than that, it's I'm still doing stuff with MCW, so keep an eye out for that. And I'm hoping to get back in touch with Frankie DeFalco, which is another promotion up in Wisconsin based out of Milwaukee, to maybe see if we can do anything there. Frankie's a great guy. We didn't I want to say something happened in April to where he got kind of upset with me, and I got kind of upset with him too. I don't think he knew that I was upset, but I wanted the chance to talk with him about it. But hopefully we can hash things out and see what happens for 2024. Awesome,
man. Awesome. Excited about that. So the reason why we have you on the show today is to, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast says thank you. Thank you for being one of our first guests. Thank you for always being supportive. You guys don't know nothing. I mean, Johnny and I have conversations on a daily basis. And as a person to person, Johnny, I thank you for always being encouraging. Everything is encouraging. I thank you for that. I thank you for being on our show, on our podcast when you can on Saturdays or Sundays. But Johnny Cass, my guys, has a huge pop opportunity tomorrow morning. Sorry. Mm-hmm. This shows this is how you get to where you need to be. You grind. You don't stop. You don't stop believing in yourself. And just what Johnny Cass has never stopped doing is believing in himself, even through the hard times. I follow you on Facebook, my guy, and even through the hard times of life, you persevered. You found a way. And I feel that you put this as much effort into where you came from, where you are now, as you did into getting yourself in the position that we're going to talk about next. Everybody, stay tuned to SiriusXM tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, to have one guy that's sitting right here, Johnny Cass. He is going to be, opportunity of a lifetime. I think it's the number one ranked radio podcast show out there. He's going to be on Busted Open. And I think you said Thunder Rosa might be asking some questions.
Yes.
Yes. So I'll give you the floor, Johnny. Talk to us fans about that opportunity.
All right. So what it is that it's SiriusXM's number one sports talk radio show in the world. And every time they talk about something, or that's serious in the business, or something happens, they always get stuff trending number one. It doesn't matter what the topic is. And I have the opportunity, the distinct opportunity to go on there tomorrow morning to talk with David LaGreca and Thunder Rosa about my career, where it's at, where it's been, where it's going. And it's pretty much the equivalent. And I say this to everybody that I've talked to about this. Being on Busted Open is the equivalent of a college football to NFL prospect being asked to go on to ESPN for an interview. That's how big of an opportunity this is. Not only is WWE listening, but their top stars listen. AEW listens. Their top stars listen. Impact Wrestling, MLW, and the list goes on. Even people that have been in the company, the legends, they listen to this. This is an opportunity that everybody, I believe, should take. It took me a long time. Yeah, it took me a long time to try to get their attention, to be like, hey, I'm interested in coming on as your indie spotlight guest. But if you paid attention to my Twitter account /X, it took me 42 days to get the attention, because I would post once a day in the morning saying day one of trying to get the attention of tagging SiriusXM, Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, and Thunder Rosa. 41 days. And I finally got their attention.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's I know everyone thinks it's going to be like kind of nerve-wracking, and it's not really going to be nerve-wracking for me, because thanks to Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast right here, I've become comfortable enough to talk to however many people I'm talking to on the internet, or whoever's listening to the radio. It doesn't matter, especially, wrestling in front of over 200, 300, 400, 500 people. I think the most I've wrestled in front of was probably around 700 or 800 people, or maybe even 1,000. I think it was like over 1,000 actually at the Midwest Gaming Classic. And I saw that as an opportunity. And when the people just pop, when you hit a big move like that, you can only live in that moment when you're a performer for like maybe a second or two, because you have to be quick and then to cover your opponent. But it's like for that second or two, you're just looking around and you're like, wow, man, you can feel it. And that's why I'm in this business, is because I want to feel that, just like they want to feel a hero, hitting a big giant move, whether it's a superplex off of the top rope or a frog splash or whatever. And just hearing that impact and making people like stand up from their seats, and whether it's cheering or booing, it's like you're in that moment. And it's really weird, because it's like, once you go through that curtain, you're a completely different person. And
what channel is it on SiriusXM?
It is on channel 156.
156, okay. That is 10 a.m. Eastern time, correct?
11 a.m. Eastern time.
So 10 a.m. Central on
Yes.
where I'm at, 10 a.m.
Yep.
Central. So I'll be definitely watching, looking out for that Busted Open podcast. I want to hear what Johnny Cash has to say about his career. I know he'll give a shout out to Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast going forward. One last time, the floor is yours, man. And I'm going to play, after you do that, play a short video. One last chance. You have anything to say to anybody, any fans, Busted Open, any opponents coming up? The floor is yours, Johnny Cash. There you go.
October 7th, Holman, Wisconsin, at the Holman American Legion. I'm facing you, Scotty. I'm going to be taking that title belt from you. This is an opportunity. This is what you probably don't understand. And that crazy little pea-sized brain of yours is that I'm serious about this. I've been posting videos of me working out every day consistently while you're out there in the woods trying to figure out how you're going to be I'm in the gym working out to get stronger. So I'm going to be taking that belt from you. Hold on to it real nice and tight until the 7th. I'll see you then.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army. They got the tanks and everything.
He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle.
Six sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out.